I don't think so, but his words are, "You manage too many people, and they need you to be at work."
Yeah.
Damn.
Tony Plowshares joining us from the mobile device.
What's up?
Hello, hello. We
How's it
are.
going?
It says you may want to tell them to switch to landscape so it matches ours. Can you turn your phone sideways? We. Well, that doesn't seem like it worked.
It doesn't.
It's all good. It'll be alright. So Ben is currently trying to fight for his life on his last league match, and then we're going to get started. I went ahead and imported his list into our Mox field. So, and I made the changes that he mentioned on Discord. So bringing in the spell bomb, getting rid of I think one of the Thoughtseize, and then making I think there was one other thing that we brought in. Go for the throat, maybe.
Yeah, go for the throat, and then the shield just eat it from the side.
Side.
I think the only thing is, like, I don't know if, like, there's other things I want to cut from my sideboard. I thought about, what's it called? Playing a second Hydroblast, because the Blood Moon deck is, like, the second most popular deck. But I don't know what to, like, cut for it. And the one thing is, I kind of hate Counterbalance, probably only because I don't side it in very much because I haven't played very many mirrors. But Counterbalance has not been good to me this year. It was real good to me last year, but not this year.
All right.
TJ,
So-
can you email me the link? I'll just get on my desktop.
Yeah. Meow.
Word. See you in a minute.
Yep, cool.
Oh, turn up. There's a lot good Arister. Jesus.
And we are live, just so you guys know. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So Tony is going to be joining us, but we just wanted to do a quick, just kind of live discussion with Ja about going into Eternal Weekend and getting a sideboard kind of set. This is one of the more popular decks in Legacy right now, so we thought it would be good just to kind of have a discussion, from his perspective and how that matches against a mono red prison player, a storm player, and a Nadu/lands player with Tony Plowshares, who will be joining us very soon. So let's go ahead and talk through this list really quick and just kind of talk about, what are you trying to do in the matchups, Ja? What is the end goal on how you win with this deck?
Yeah, so it depends on the matchup. I guess against, like, my favorite matchup's actually combo against combo. I have a little bit of background as, like, a Yu-Gi-Oh player where every matchup you sit down is just a combo matchup. So my favorite matchups, you sit down, you just play, like, Bargoy to the Psychic Frog holding 4 stays, Wasteland back up, and you just try to kill them as fast as possible. I think those are my favorite matchups. And I think in, like, other grindier matchups, that's when you want to, like, rely on cameos, rely on Psychic Frog getting you draws every turn, and, like, managing resources, trying to just force a will something dumb and losing 2 cards for no reason. And then my least favorite matchups are the ones where they kind of, like, break the rules of Magic. Like, I keep telling people nearby, it's like, I don't think this Demir Tempo deck has, like, bad matchups. It has, like, bad board states. So if someone just, like, jams, like, turn 1, like in the blind, like, if you don't keep Force Will, like, which you shouldn't have to all the time, but in the blind, if they just go turn 1 Soul Land, what's it called, Chalice the Void, it, like, turns off, like, half your deck. Like, this version is, like, better than Delver, which I played last year Eternal Weekend, because most of your threats, that are good, like Psychic Frog, Bowmasters, aren't, 1-drops, but getting Chalice turn 1, most of the time I'm just like, I'm done. And same thing with, like, Eldrazi. If they have, like, a really fast start, I feel like you just can't do anything about it game 1.
Sure. And checking out the sideboard a little bit here, let me share the flex slot. And this will be available in the show notes kind of as we go through. The cards that we're looking at as far as, what kind of work with. We have 2 Barrogoyfs. We have 1 Force of Negation, 2 Harbinger of the Seas, 1 Counterbalance, 1 Null Rod, 1 Shieldred's Edict, 3 Consigned to Memory, 1 Ghost Vacuum, 1 Hydroblast, 1 Surgical, and 1 Engineered Explosives. So let's go ahead and get started with bringing up Cephalid Breakfast, okay, since Tony's on. Tony, with your deck, out of those cards that are on the bottom here, I guess, what are you most scared of?
I mean, initially, like, obviously any graveyard interaction is going to kind of, be somewhat, problematic, like Surgical, Ghost Vacuum. And then also Consigned to Memory, like, randomly is kind of difficult to beat because it can, like, counter and replicate against the Thassa's Oracle trigger.
It's a good card.
And then,
Father, what's up this morning? You stumbled with
So anything that interacts with our graveyard, obviously, because that is one of your major win cons is winning with the with that Thassa's Oracle line. So again, anything that we can do in order to bring those out. So it sounds like Surgical. Did you say Surgical? Ghost Vacuum. Consign. Now, do we feel like there's other things? And John, what are your thoughts, like having played this deck in Vegas? Like, what are your thoughts and what did you bring in against that type of matchup, or what would you bring in?
So, sorry to disappoint your audience if they think like I have like a lot of expertise in this.
No.
I definitely do not. I did not play Breakfast or a Nadu variant at all.
Okay.
Probably my entire time of playing this deck. Let me look through. I'm gonna zoom into this site.
Sure.
I mean, I guess my thought process is like okay, so because like the deck can also like go to Nadu, right? So like having anything that is also going to interact with that plan is pretty good. So like Harbinger of the Seas randomly, like shutting off my mana is actually a pretty big deal because I play 2 basics, and even though I'm playing blue, like Nadu is a green mana that I do not now have access to, so that takes away that plan. And if I don't fetch that basic white, I can't kill Harbinger of the Seas, so I have to counter that card.
Yeah.
So like if you just jam Harbinger on turn 3, it shuts off my mana. And like one of the ways that that I've found that Breakfast loses is by me not being able to cast my spells. Whether that be swords to deal with your thing, or Nadu to dig my way out of stuff, or whatever. It's very difficult if my mana is not efficient.
Yeah, that does make sense. It's so weird the way I typically play Magic. I typically don't play Magic in a sense of like, oh, I'll just jam this sideboard card in the chance that they fetched wrong. Like I think there are certain matchups back when I was playing Modern where I wouldn't board in Blood Moons strictly for the fact that I knew they were respected, so I didn't want to waste the sideboard slot. You know what I mean? So I'm personally not sold on the Harbinger, but quick question. I don't know the Breakfast list too much. Does it just play Force a little, or does it play Days as well?
Well, so I'm currently playing 2 Days, and I think that most lists are gravitating towards Days.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would bring in 3 consigns. Like 2 consigns is probably fine. Because it only interacts with Thassa's Oracle, which like obviously is a problem. But like you and in my like, okay, so like now you kind of figure out what you want to bring in, or like where we're at. Like it's almost like, okay, now what do we want to board out, right? So like if you have enough cards, like Harbinger definitely, because like if that card resolves, I'm telling you, like it's a problem.
Yeah. So like I said, I think the way I play Magic, and I may have to like refer to like some like certain guys. I think I'm sold on not boarding in Harbingers. I just go board in what two cosigns and then maybe a surface. Maybe not the
So with the ghost vacuum, being able to turn off his the memories journey, I think is big, and then also his, I mean, having that Thassa's Oracle there, having the one of Dread Return in there. I think having that single piece for vacuum is super effective, personally.
Yeah, that is fair. I'm just trying to figure out what I would cut in this matchup, and that's like like why I appreciate your guys' help. I feel like I like sideboard sometimes a little too conservatively. Like for instance, in this matchup, I would definitely put in Shieldred Sisters. I think that's a card I want in my sideboard against Breakfast. The reason is like it interacts well with Nadu, and also like it's weird. It's like sometimes they just have like too many dudes, and if they just stick around too long, like they'll win at some point.
And it is multimodal with the Planeswalker as well.
Yeah,
So, yeah. And just to give a quick refresh as far as, kind of a ballpark for what a Nadu list is going to look like, let me go ahead and share. I'll share this list here in hopes that we can, kind of get an idea of what's going to be in there. Obviously, the Teferis are going to be, hit by that, but then also being able to force the sacrifice of, one of the things that could potentially Dread Return the Thassa's Oracle back. Again, I think you have a lot of utility there. And like I said, being able to get rid of that memories journey, I think, is a thing to be looking out for.
yeah. So I guess here's the question, and like maybe this is my inexperience in thinking of the deck. If they go off and they get to the point where they just slam the Thassa's Oracle, that's where you want to consign and like replicate it against it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's hard to beat. Like then, because you get like into this weird corner case scenario where like I have to bounce my own Thassa's Oracle with the Fury,
Oh, okay.
like which is a line that I've had to do. Um, but like uh, it's kind of interesting, like because you brought up the Shieldred's Edict. I don't think I didn't see Shieldred's Edict. Like that is definitely not a terrible card, but I think it also like kind of has something to do with like what are you bringing out in this sense, like because you talk about like I mean it seems like a lot of your cards are really good against like Bowmasters are really good.
Yeah,
um
Bowmasters is insane. I think
like Brazen Borrowers probably aren't great because they I mean like it's gonna what like maybe time walk me, maybe give you another draw step.
yeah, I think like I would keep one in, but I would cut a Bowmasters.
I would
I
not cut
think
Bowmasters.
oh not Bowmasters, I mean Brazen Borrower.
Yeah,
And I think
Bowmasters real good.
and then I think I would cut like at least one Tamio because it's one of those things where Tamio is like a value engine and it's like if you resolve a Nadu with like a Shuko or a Nomad's Encore, only if you have two pieces, it's like there's no way Tamio's outdrawing you like getting four cards as soon as you drop one of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean I'm almost on the fence of like cutting Murktides and Nethergoyfs.
I would definitely consider cutting like a Murktide, not the Nethergoyfs. I don't think it's like I feel like Nethergoyfs Psychic Frog is like the magic like path like beating decks that want to combo over you. You know, you just slam it and you just turn them sideways. I'm also like a Nethergoyf apologist. Like I was watching videos of people playing, and there is one guy who is playing this deck, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Tamio is like the worst card ever. It does not belong in a tempo deck. It does not do damage." And then there was another guy playing Demir Tempo. It's like Nethergoyf is the most overrated card ever, and he's like, I don't like the way it only interacts with graveyard. I don't like how it dies to like just like random things. But
I
I
guess I'm just looking at it in terms of like, okay, so like I take a lot of things with like the whole blue decks back to like the Delvermere, right? Like Delvermere, like the guy that usually wins is the guy that boards out all of his Force of Wills
Yeah.
because it's like an attrition based matchup, and like top decking a Force of Will when you both have 0 cards in play, 0 cards in hand, like is bad, right? Well, I
Yes.
kind of think this is the same, except the fact that I'm playing a combo deck.
Yeah.
So you have to keep Force of Will in. So in
Yeah.
that point, what good is drawing another Goyf when I'm threatening to untap and kill you?
Yeah, it's less that, and it's like I think the upside of just playing the Nethergoyf turn one and having it sit there and attack every turn, it makes it so that you're not stuck in those late game situations where I'm drawing dead and you're drawing like live for the second piece of your combo. You know
Well,
what I
no,
mean?
I think you just validated what I said in that. Like you play Nethergoyf, I go sure it resolves. Like I don't care. That's you essentially mulligan to a 6 card hand because that card doesn't interact with what I'm doing.
Yep.
Like Ghost Vacuum, Consign to Memory, Surgical, Fatal Push, all those cards interact with what I'm doing in a
Yeah.
positive way for you. Like you can ride the victory off of a Psychic Frog, or I mean a Bowmaster's even. Like you're trying to not lose the game, and
Okay, that's
if you
fair.
if you play another Goyf against me, I'm gonna say that card resolves. In some senses, I let Psychic Frog resolve, and I'm like, sure, have the card because I'm not going to fight over that. I'm going to fight over my Cephalid Illusionist. So that's kind of how I'm like, what do I not want you to play? I want you to play another Goyf because I don't care about it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see. I see. Oh, and that I guess, like I said, definitely did not think of it that way. Like, I feel like in that case, and it's good. It's a good way to think about because I don't think I've ever boarded out another Goyf. I feel like if you're thinking it that way, you could board out like what, like maybe two Nether Goyfs and then keep the Murktide region in.
Yeah, I mean,
Murktide region.
you could board all 2, 3, 4 of them out honestly, and then just keep the Murktide in.
Well, I think you still want to put some kind of early pressure in, though, right?
I mean, I think Frog. I mean, the fact that you can like jump it. I mean, definitely like turn one you have like Spellbomb, Ghost Vacuum, Ponder, Fatal Push. I mean, you're still creating that density of like 1 drops, but like your pressure's coming from like Psychic Frog, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. It's one of those things where there's like this like dichotomy where like if you play Nethergoyf turn one, you're attacking for like 2 or 3 starting turn two, which chips away at your opponent, so you kill them in like 5 turns if you can buy enough time, 5 to 6 turns. But like if you do cut the Nethergoyf, then you're kind of priced into the late game aspect where you just want to slam an 8/8 Murktide and win the game in 2 turns after that. You know what I mean? So it's weird. Like I guess what are you more afraid of? Are you more afraid of me just stopping your early game and then slamming the Murktide Regent, or slamming a frog and just growing it, or are you more afraid of I can attack you for 3 every turn and kill you in like 6 turns with the Nethergoyf?
Tony had to go.
Oh,
He said Vincent was getting dragged away, so
oh, that's all good.
dad duty called.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Ben, you're pretty good at this because you're playing a combo deck. Albeit you're playing a faster combo deck, but I feel like whenever we play games, we both kind of go slow. Are you more afraid of me being proactive with some interaction, or are you more afraid of me like interacting only first and then slamming a Murktide region to try to kill you in 2 turns?
For me, if you play a turn one, for me, I don't care about Nethergoyf as much just because I play Echo, but like I do think Nethergoyf is just a good card, especially putting a little bit of pressure on early and then putting a lot of pressure on late. Um, I agree that when you're um, fighting over whatever when he's trying to go combo and win
Yeah.
is important, but when you're fighting over what he's doing to win, you're going to want blue spells in hand to pitch the Force of Wills. And Nethergoyf is, I go turn one Nethergoyf and I just slowly chip away at your life, and then he goes, I have to fight right now. If he has it, he has it.
Yeah.
And then you go, all right, like he might try and go off when if you have 2 counter spells he loses, and then you end up having the 2 rather than wait for if you have 3 counter spells. Like I like to wait until I have a backup plan and ideally 2 backup plans depending on the matchup. So like even if they have the thing to slow me down, I have a not terrible plan to like pigeonhole into. When you're putting that much pressure on, you feel like you're forced to go faster. Like you're like, I can't wait much longer because I don't think it's going to get more advantageous.
Yeah.
So I think I just have to force the issue right now and hope that he doesn't have it. Like, and if you go turn 1 Goyf into turn 2 Frog, then you're just like, all right, now I've got a lot of pressure. I don't have to pump the Frog if I don't want to. I'm putting on a lot of pressure and drawing cards. Then he's forced to kind of do something, because if he doesn't do something, you can just go, all right, I'll discard 3 cards, make my Nethergoyf the largest creature of all time and Psychic Frog big. Now you're on a 2-turn clock just because I played a turn 1 Nethergoyf and forced you to have the issue,
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, wait, I think this is good. This is a good conversation. I think
And I wanted to say real quick, like looking at this side by side too, if we look at value, is a Shieldred's Edict worth more than Nethergoyf for any of these? Like, are we on the right path here? What we have so far, because realistically, we only have to get rid of 1 more card.
Yeah. I think if it was up to me, like if I was like under the gun and didn't have a guide going, I think what I would sideboard now, knowing like what the opinions of Nethergoyf are, is I think on the play. I think on the play, what I would want to do is, before I even go further, I don't think I sided Ghost back in this matchup. I personally do not. One thing, maybe he knew, maybe not. I already have 2 Nile spell bombs in the main deck, which I think is better than Ghost Vacuum, especially in this matchup. So I think that should be good enough graveyard hate if you just put in the 1 surgical. I think on the play, what I would do is I would keep in at least 3 Nethergoyfs. So I put in that Nethergoyf, and I think on the play I would maybe I would just cut a comp sign and call it a day. Just do that, because Tamio just does nothing during the matchup, in my opinion, unless the game goes on for some reason. And then the Borrower is not very good. And then the consign helps the fringe, like if they just go off, Surgical does the same, and then the Shieldred's Edict beats the Nadu side of the plan. And it also randomly just does something if they have Cephalo Illusionist and they have a couple card on the stack. And then I think on the draw, if I was on the draw, what I would do is I would take out 2 Nethergoyfs, because then when you're on the draw, you're already kind of on the back foot. You just don't want to, your turn 1 threat is less valuable if your opponent already has a turn 2 over you. So then I think on the draw, I would put in 2 consigns, and then everything else would stay the same. So it would be Surgical, 2 consigns, Shieldred's Edict. And then I would take out Borrower, the 2 voice, I think that would be fine. I don't know if you have a critique of this. Once again, I sideboard pretty conservatively. I don't want what I'm putting in to disrupt my game plan.
And are we keeping 2 mercs?
Yeah, I think for his short time here, the other guy definitely sold me on just keeping the Merkite, a blue card, and it's in a late game, if you're kind of whittling down resources, you just slam it and just kills them in 2 turns.
Right.
I like it.
Okay. So let's pull up actually someone in chat suggested Forge Combo as well as Red Stompy as well to cover. So let's go ahead and bring up.
Oh, and outing myself again, I also have not played against Forge Combo.
Perfect. And we can kind of talk through what that looks like.
Here, I'm gonna move my computer a bit closer. I don't have a professional mic set up.
Yeah, it's all good. So this, I feel like these are the cards we're probably going to be focusing on.
Against Forge combo.
Yes.
Yeah, let me pull up a Forge real quick.
EE is probably not bad either.
Yeah, EE is probably sick. They have like a bunch of 1-drop, 0-drop guys. So how does Forge combo win?
Drawing out. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they do Paradox Engine and like Paradox Engine into like the One Ring, but they just untap all their artifacts, float a million mana really early, and then they Karn. They can hardlock, but they can just do they Thassa's Oracle? What do they do to like actually close the game? I can't remember.
Ballista.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
very very large ballista.
Okay. And then they don't really have any like creatures, right? Like that I care about killing.
No, I don't think they play any creatures actually. So, other than like the ballista, but at that point you've already lost.
Yeah, I'm looking at they're playing Glaring Flesh.
The Flesh Raker, they do. Yep. For the
Oh
color.
yeah, that card's that makes
That's
sense.
just a mana source, right?
Yep.
It also wins the game too. So every time
They
they cast a
colorless.
colorless spell, yeah. So they cast a colorless spell, they get a boy. The boy pings. So if they have 2, it stacks, and it just gets insane.
Okay. So I guess here is a question for maybe you TJ or you Ben. I know we joke, but I do think you're like way more experienced at Magic than I when it comes to just getting out there
Me?
and play. I think so. I don't play Magic arena or like online, and I don't go to locals as much as I should. Oh hey, what's up, Valgo? I think all you have here is pretty good. I think against that deck, so I guess here's the question: how do you guys feel about Days versus the City of Trader Mana Rock decks? I feel like it's so good if you get them early, and then it's just so bad if they let's say they want to play a 1-drop, they just go like City of Traders, play a 1-drop, and then like you're sitting there with the Days and you're just looking at yourself,
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And I want to point
That's a
out
good point.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of their spells are 1-drops.
yeah, they have all the keys. Well, also like even if they weren't 1-drops, if they go turn 1 Ancient Tomb into the Grim Monolith,
Yeah.
Days of the Grim Monolith like is pretty good.
Yeah. They're also playing
just-
Vexing Bobble. Jeez. Oh man, this magic seems rough.
Yeah, it's not great. I think Days is probably worth cutting. I don't know. It's weird because you don't really have the.
Yeah.
I think actually I don't know because I think you kind of have to have the early interaction. If you don't have the early interaction, they just blow you out fast. So I think you have to slow them down enough to get to the point that you can win. But I have.
So I think
don't
Go
know.
for the Throat's dead in this matchup. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Probably a deck.
Flesh Raker, yeah. I mean, I don't think you want that many things to deal with a Flesh Raker because, I mean, if you have Forces and Days, both of those things deal with Flesh Raker if you keep in the Days.
Yeah.
I don't think our spell bombs are doing anything.
No, your spell bombs are like a liability. If they jam the card, your spell bombs say 1 mana, do nothing.
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's the biggest question, and like I don't know where to find like articles or something. Like what does how do you board in Days in and out against the decks that play City of Traders and Vexing, because Mystic Forge and Red Stompy are both City of Traders and City of Traders plus Vexing Bobble decks. Do you keep them in and try to get them early, or do you just board them out with the understanding that they're gonna play around it and you should just ignore that avenue of game plan?
So, as a red player, I tend to be tapping out. Maybe I'm a little bit more of an aggressive red player. But Dazes do slow me down, I will say, because I'm trying to end the game as soon as possible. I can't let you get any traction. So Dazes do throw off my tempo. That being said, I feel like if I was playing this Mystic Forge combo deck, these would mess up my day a lot more.
Yeah.
is maybe Brazen. So, okay, and so this is my thought process on it, which is why I'm gonna mention it. But like, the thought process is if Days were legal in Modern, would you keep it in against Tron? And I think for me the answer is yes, just because most of the time they're like using 100% of the mana to cast the big thing, which I could just be 100% wrong, but like a turn 3 Karn for 7 mana, if it were Days, they'd feel real bad.
Yeah.
Which usually that's this kind of thing they were doing. I would, at least when I played Tron. Late game, they just have all the mana in the world, but late game, you've already lost anyway.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I don't know if that's a good comparison anymore because now modern Tron, they'll just go turn 3 Tron and they'll play like the One Ring or they'll play like a 4-mana Tron, you know?
Right.
So in that case, my answer would be no. There is no way I'm playing Days against a modern Tron deck. It's
Oh.
weird. And they play Lotus Petal too.
Oh, Fatal Push is a quick, easy dead. Yeah, good
Yeah,
call.
so I think we just found our cards
Yeah.
that we could even.
I would keep in like maybe like 2 Fatal Push. So I like cut Fatal Push.
Yeah, so I feel like go for the throat, 2 of the spell bombs, a brazen borrow, and our fatal push.
Let me. Yeah, definitely cut a Brazen Borrower. I think. Ooh, here's my question: does Orcish Bowmaster do anything? Do they draw?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
They're drawing like 30 cards off of One Ring. I mean,
yeah. So as long as they don't have One Ring protection, it's just like a free win.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right, because they have the Paradox Engine and start drawing. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
And they have
Yeah, because if they hit the Paradox Engine, they can do like either One Ring or Karn, which if they go like Mystic Forge with the Karn, then they have 2 looks at casting something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either way, it gets real gross.
Yeah. This is a tough one. I think maybe cut like some number of Fatal Pushes. I definitely want Shield's Edict to be in. And my reasoning behind Shield's Edict is because if they jam a Karn and they just play conservatively with it, you can just roll the Karn, you know?
Right.
It's never really dead because they have Karns and they also have the Flesh Breaker or whatever.
Glaring Fleshraker, yeah.
Yeah. Once again, this is another matchup where I'm not in love with Tamio because I don't think value matters that much.
So, do you love any of these more than Tamio?
At least one more push, I think.
Yeah, maybe cut a push and cut a Tamio and put in like Shield's Edict.
We have Shieldred's Edict already. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, put one of those pushes back.
Oh, your screen might have froze.
Oh, okay.
At least for me.
Oh, it's still wiggling on my end.
It's wiggling.
Yeah.
I cannot see a wiggle. Maybe me popping off and rejoining. Oh, there we go.
So what about Harbinger? Harbinger of the season, this matchup.
That's what I was about to say. I'm almost feeling like Harbinger might be decent just as like a threat to slow them down, you know?
Yeah, because they are playing exactly no basic land.
Yeah. But once again, it's like all it does is slow them down. Like they're still able to cast everything under a Harbinger.
They can't cast their Kozilek command or their Fleshraker.
That is true. Actually, no, they can. They play Grim Monolith. They play Grim Monolith.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Basalt will Grim Monolith, will that count?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Got Errata to add triangle.
Okay.
Yeah. So, geez, I feel like this. I need to play against this deck to actually know what's going on because I feel like this is a matchup where some amount of protection in your tempo plan needs to get there because they don't play that many blockers. You just want to attack and slow them down just long enough. Because it's like the Tron thing where like if you let them hang out long enough, they're gonna win through sheer like inevitability. So actually, wait. Maybe I answered my own question. Maybe I do like. Maybe I do like. What's it called? Um, what's it called? The Harbinger of the Seas, because it makes it so that they slow down just a little bit.
Right, and it like throws them off tempo just a little bit. And
Yeah.
I mean, if they have no blockers, it's still a 2/2.
And having more creatures might help, especially since some of the cards in this matchup. I think this is a matchup where I'm honestly not a fan of Tamio. Like I could see just cutting Tamio. Like
So I guess a question too that I would have with Tamio is not her ultimate as much as her middle ability, right? I mean, being able to pull from the actual pulling from the graveyard as far as your dazes, your fatal pushes, your brainstorms. You know what I mean? Like your Children's Edict. If they pull out another Karn, like I feel like there's value there too, right?
I don't think so.
No.
So, and this is my opinion, of course. So, Tamio, in order to get her minus ability, you need to do a bunch of things. You need to play her. You need to draw 3 cards. You need to tick her up a turn first.
Turn first, sure.
And kind of like think about what you're getting back. So, if you like, I think the best card you can get back is Brainstorm, because it says draw 3 cards. Like Ponder's okay too, but like Fatal Push, like I feel like this deck is like the Tron issue where it's your deck versus their top deck. So, like in a mid-game situation, they're just top decking bomb after bomb. You getting back a Thoughtseize won't do very much. You getting back a Daze probably won't do very much because they just have so many mana. You getting back a Force might not do anything because they know you have the Force, and they'll like try to jam a Vexing Bobble first, or they'll just wait you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's like my inexperience of playing the deck is I'm not sure like how Tamio will perform in a mid game situation. You know what I mean? Whereas at least I know the Harbinger of the Scene slows them down and attacks for 2 every turn.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you thinking 1 Harbinger or 2?
That's a hard one too. I don't know.
Would you rather see a Daze in hand or a Harbinger? I know that's a very situational question, but
So funny thing is, if I saw a Harbinger, I would love to see a Daze as well, because those are the situations where the Harbinger turns off their soul lands, and then
Right.
you get to, and that's when you're probably able to Daze. See, that's so hard. Because no one here has read a sideboard guide of do we even keep Force of Will in this matchup? Because do we keep Force of Will in this matchup?
I think so, because
Yeah.
I think so. Just a hard no on the Karn, or a hard no on the until you find a null rod. Just a hard no on the thing seems really good.
Right.
Yeah, but here's the flip side to it. They play 4 Vexing Baubles, and I have sat across so many games where if you have Force of Will in hand and they have Vexing Bauble, Force of Will is the worst card in your deck. I would almost rather have Daze instead of Force of Will against the Vexing Bauble, because they're not playing around it if they have a Vexing Bauble most of the time, and then sometimes you just cast it for 2 and they just stop playing.
Well, and I think this is because I don't have enough reps with a mid-range tempo-y blue deck to say. I will say that worst case scenario, having a Force of Will in your hand that you can't cast for free is a card to put back with Brainstorm.
Yep.
Obviously, we'd prefer to have it as a castable card, but also there is merit to just not having to put back an actual playable spell than a non-playable spell in the scenario you're digging for an answer.
Yeah.
But I still like the idea of Force of Will, just because in the scenario if they have the turn 1 Vexing Bauble, you can counter it. If they're on the play, you have an answer for it. But also in the scenario you're on the play, if you do Daze, you can just have a turn 1 Ponder. They go turn 1 Vexing Bobble, you go daze that, and then you have a Force of Will still for late game. Feels really good, but at the same time, I don't know how much time you have, so it's I think one of those things that the reps would reward the thought process. It's I think something that you probably just want to like make Rami sit down and say, Rami, we're playing Karn Forge today for
Yeah.
until we both understand the matchup as well as we possibly can.
Yeah. Oh, hey, let me look at the Forge deck one more time. The Forge deck may be this may be a little crazy, but I think I like, um, against the Mystic Forge deck, if I'm on the play, I kind of like bringing counterbalance. Only on
Hot.
the play, though.
I like that a lot
Yeah.
because they play a lot of like decent 1-drops or 0-drops, and you're just like,
Yeah,
do they play zeros?
Yeah,
Or am I just high?
No, they play zeros. They play
Petals, opal.
Lotus Petal and Opals.
Yeah, and then it just counters everything. It's like what's it called? You have I don't think I do play some. The only 3s I'm playing are Brazen Bar. That doesn't count. But yeah, you can counter their Manifold Keys, their Vexing Bauble. You can counter their Grim Monoliths. Like it's crazy.
Force of Will hits the Paradox engine.
If that ever happens, I'm like, they probably deserve to lose the game somehow. If it gets to that point where I have counterbalance up and they they just jam something with 5 mana on top of my deck. But hey, real quick, I'm gonna leave and come back again. I still can't see your screen update.
Okay. And then I wanted to look at because what does
Oh, I didn't know you could leave and come back. That's cool. For some reason, my mic switched to my AirPods, so I'm like, oh well, this sucks. But
you may look at the top card of your library. You may cast artifact spells and colorless spells. I'm just reading Mystic Forge to make sure
card's insane.
counterbalance. Whenever an
Yeah, you're
opponent
still
plays
casting
a
them from the
spell,
top of the library.
you may reveal it. If you do, counter that spell.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
man, yeah. With the Mystic Forge, I kind of do like the counterbalance play. It like makes it so that you have like kind of so yeah. Okay. I think I'm sold on the counterbalance. I think here, cut a second Tamio, cut a Daze. I can see the screen now, so cut a second Tamio, cut a Daze. Cut a second Daze, I meant.
Because I feel like they're just going to have all the mana in the world, and that's just going to invalidate that card.
Yeah, yeah. I also think like the play draw option. See, I want to say the play draw option matters, but Daze just gets so bad if they just go turn 1 Soul Land. If they go turn 1 Soul Land, or if they go like turn 1 Ancient Tomb, and they just play like what's it called, like a Vexing Bauble. Like Daze Force of Will is like the worst thing ever if that happens.
Jai, you're a genius. The reason I'm saying that is because of the leave and come back. So the mic was, for some reason, my mic switched from the actual microphone to my AirPods, and I'm like, well, that sucks because it wouldn't let me change it mid-recording. But you're a genius, and you said, hey, I'm going to leave and come back. And I'm like, I didn't know you could do that because I'm dumb. So
That's funny.
You win the night. Okay, so I'm doing your draw right now.
I've said a lot. You are the best brainstorm caster in Magic the Gathering. In locals at least.
That's the caveat. I joke about being the best brainstorm caster. I don't think I'm the best. I think I'm the most patient. But the dichotomy of being the most patient is sometimes when I'm about to lose, I will not cast a brainstorm to find cards to keep me alive. So that has definitely happened to me.
So on the draw, we are not putting in we're not bringing in the counterbalance.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Does this look okay?
Yeah, on the draw, that looks okay. Yeah.
Would you prefer the second Tamio or the second Daze?
I would prefer. I don't like either of those cards. I would. We don't bring in the counterbalance. Let me see what else there is to cut. No, I think that's good. Not having the second Daze is fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Love that. Okay, so let's look at.
For any podcast enjoyers, like that did take a little long, but I think it was worth it. We're learning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about me as far as Red Stompy. Things that really suck for me are, taking me off of my creatures. Super sucks. Consigns can kind of throw me for a loop, but not. I mean, I don't know if you have so much other counter magic that I don't think that would really mess with me. Counterbalance doesn't really do anything. All of my stuff's 3. I don't bring anything back from the graveyard. Harbinger's interesting. Definitely the blast.
Yeah. This is the single matchup where I kind of wish there was a flex slot where I can play a second Hydro Blast.
Right.
And the only place where I could see that second Hydro Blast coming in is either for the counterbalance. I mean, before we like lab up this sideboard guide, what would you cut for a Hydro Blast if you were told you need to play a second Hydro
Um.
Blast?
What's that?
Yeah. It's either counterbalance or if you have huge walls and you're not afraid of graveyard decks, maybe the Ghost Vacuum. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a fan of that.
Well, how do you favor against like Reanimator realistically?
I think Reanimator, that's like why you're playing Tempo. You play just enough hate and just enough interaction, and you just kill them fast. So you
like,
don't sit there and draw more ways to go off.
With that in consideration, do you think the Ghost Vacuum drastically changes the outcome of that matchup?
I actually think Ghost Vacuum does punish good Reanimator players. Yes. Here's my reasoning. I would never play Ghost Vacuum in the main deck. It doesn't say draw a card on it, so it's just dead in so many matchups. Versus now Spellbomb, it doesn't. And now Spellbomb, when you sack it, you also throw your void. But for Ghost Vacuum, against a good Reanimator player, what they'll typically do games 2 and 3 is they'll play more conservatively. They'll put stuff in the graveyard, or they'll just kind of sit there and try to value you with their Psychic Frogs. Before I speak too much, I'm gonna pull up the exact deck list so I know what I'm talking about. But in my opinion, a good Reanimator player, they'll just kind of sit there and they'll just Psychic Frog you, and they'll just kind of bide their time until they can finally go off, and they'll have random creatures in the graveyard. So when you have now Spellbomb, it doesn't really work in the late game because they go off. You go now Spellbomb, they're like okay, and then they just put another creature in the graveyard. Now your Spellbomb is gone. Whereas the Ghost Vacuum, every turn you eat something. So their late game plan of putting more and more things in the graveyard, hoping to go off eventually, that plan goes away when you have an active Ghost Vacuum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it makes it so that they can't do the entomb. I get it.
Yeah, they can't long game you because every turn you're taking away a resource in their graveyard.
So just some of the things that I'm looking at. Null Rod, I play for artifacts, but I don't think that's enough to matter.
Yeah, and John in chat does have a good point about the counterbalance even worth a slot. That is the question of the night: is counterbalance even worth a slot?
So it is. I was joking earlier when I said to cut it because it's good against me, but realistically, it's good against me, but I'm maybe 0.04% of the you have to respect Storm just because it's Storm. That being said, I don't know how aggressively you want to play around or proactively prepare for Storm.
Yeah. You know what? I actually think both you and John in chat sold me on it. I'm looking at deck list right now. I think everyone and their mom is just cutting Counterbalance, I think Counterbalance, like I was joking earlier, I was like, oh man, Counterbalance has not been nice to me. But I think the reality of it is Counterbalance is that's just not very good in the matchup. Because back in the day, you know, Delver was the best deck. You would jam Counterbalances in your sideboard for the Delver mirror because they just play a bunch of one-drop idiots. Like if Frog wasn't legal, so you know you didn't have that many two-drop threats. Whereas now, you know, Counterbalance can't just like target a single like popular mana cost with a lot of these decks. So I think I'm sold. I cut Counterbalance. It's a Hydro Blast now. I think we're gonna proceed now.
I love that.
Yeah. This is character growth.
Okay.
This is phenomenal for me. I've never been happier.
So, so we'll grab that Counterbalance in here to represent 2 Hydroblasts, and then we can fix that.
I know you kicked my ass with Storm the other weekend, but I just want you to know, last year at Storm Weekend, I beat a Storm player after they resolved. What was it? I beat a Storm player through their thought keys, through their resolved what's it called? Son of Creation, after they Galvanic relayed for like 6 on turn 1.
You earned it.
Yeah, so
You earned it and you deserved it.
So, you know, but yeah, against the Stompy deck now, yeah, because this is what we're doing. I like keeping an Orcish Bowmasters. I'm a huge fan of Bowmasters against Red Stompy.
For what reason?
Because Orcish Bowmasters.
Just having the 2 blockers.
Sometimes, well, so my buddy Jacob, he plays Red Stompy, and sometimes the 2 blockers does come up. I think the biggest reason for the Orcish Bowmasters is it makes it so that they can't dig as deep with the reflection of the QQGP or the Fable, and a lot of times Red Stompy like 3-for-1 themselves, so them getting back into the game is literally just the 1 ring, and it just punishes the 1 ring that draws.
Okay.
What I'm not a fan of in this matchup is what's on the right, what you would put in.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's probably going to affect me. Obviously, I'm pretty creature heavy. Having the 2 blasts there just to outright counter my stuff. Surgical to get rid of all of my Bombardiers, all of my Furies, and then I can't really do much with mountain or islands.
Yeah. So here's what I would do. I would not bring and this is my opinion, of course. I would not bring in Harbinger of the Seas because I don't think fighting against their mana is something I want to do, at least in my opinion. I do not think Surgical is worth it to just target a card. This is a joke. There's this player called Andrea Mengucci, and sometimes on stream, he just makes fun of players for bringing Surgical to do stuff like targeting a Haymaker like Bombardiers. It's like you're essentially mulliganing yourself to 6 and giving yourself a bad top deck in the game.
Sure.
So, I think on the draw, or on the play. Let's do on the play first. Yeah,
Yep, on the play.
I think on the play, I just cut like some number of Force Wills. Especially now, it's so much easier to make that decision now that you have the Hydro Blast. So maybe 2 Force Wills, or maybe 3. Let's do 3. Let's do 3 or 4. Let's do 3 for now, and then I think I want to cut both Murktide regions. I want to cut both Murktide regions because it's a high investment card that literally says dies the Pyroblast. I think I'm priced into cutting both Nile spells. There is a weird fringe case where you keep them in and it can interact with your opponent's Pyroglyph, but
Yep.
I don't think I do not value Nile Spellbomb that much. You know?
And also, I mean, you're going to be discarding your instance, your creature. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that Pyroglyph, unless you're doing your own graveyard, I mean, it's not. You'd have to have 2 spell bombs in order to really reduce that Goyf.
Yep. I would bring in 2 Borrow Goyfs at this point. it's just another top end threat. The life link matters so much because
100%.
Pierce is so aggressive.
Yep.
And then I would bring in 2 consigns. I think I would call it a day actually. The reason why I bring in consigns is because once again, it's a huge tempo swing. If they invest all their mana into like a borrow or into a pyrogoyf and you just counter the trigger and replicate it for good measure in case they have pyroblast back up, like they thought they were gonna clear your board and now they don't clear your board and now they have a vanilla card that doesn't do very much.
Right.
And then the other reason for the consign is because it is a card that counters the One Ring, and I honestly think that the One Ring, what's it called, is like the way you lose this matchup because they 3-for-1 themselves in the early game and then they're basically top decking.
Yep.
So once they played a One Ring, they're no longer top decking. They're basically just a like Jun style deck that never runs out of resources, and you're like a silly tempo deck, and you're trying to go toe to toe, like you're 1-drop and 2-drop versus their like 4-drop, 5-drop, because you go like Psychic Frog, counter magic back up, and they just go Bombardiers into Pyrogoyf into Hardcast Fury. Like you're never winning those late game situations if they get enough cards in hand.
Right. And let me pull up. Just for reference, I'll pull up my what mine is for Eternal Weekend. So this is what we are playing. The question was, do we play the One Ring? We do. 4 Chromux, 4 Baubles. Everything's pretty much in 4 ofs because we just put stuff sideways and send it, and we can only count to 4. Makes sideboarding a lot easier. Yeah.
If you guys are playing this deck and you, in my opinion, games 2 and 3, if you're playing the Red Zombie deck, side it out against the Mirror Tempo players, unless you disrespect them. The Blood Moon is basically a mulligan if you're ever drawing against the Mirror Tempo games 2 and 3.
So, just as a reference, this is what we're doing. Cool. Let's get back to this sideboard. Okay, so we'll save that one. Now let's check out the draw.
Yeah, same thing here. I still like the consigns.
3 of or
2 of, I think. I don't think I want the Hydro Blast. And let me see. Anything else? Yeah. More removal is good. I think here, same thing. Just get rid of Murkai Region. It's more of a 2-mana liability than anything else. I actually do think you keep Enforce a Will here, and then you like take out Days. I think on the draw you take out like maybe 2 Days and maybe 1 Force of Will. There's probably some like Magic purist that disagrees with what I'm doing, but I personally think.
I'm just kidding.
I personally think this is fine, because there's like random like turn 1 scenarios, like if you're on the draw, where they just go, like they'll be playing like, I guess you don't even have dates. They'll just go like turn 1 3-drop, or God forbid they go turn 1 1 ring on you. Having Force of Will in those situations is so good. And then if Force of Will is no longer good because they jam a next model, then you do the bend plan and you just brainstorm it away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But Days is like really shitty against them on the draw because they get to play Soul Land into like something else, and like, your Days is never gonna be live ever again.
Yep. And there's actually a if you look at our YouTube channel, there's I was fighting for Pyrogoyf, I think, and we have Simian Spirit Guides. So you try to jam a Daze thinking we're tapped out, and we have the Simian Spirit Guide to be able to pay for it. So again, I think I'm 100% with you for the Daze on the draw.
Yeah. if I could, I mean, part of me wants to even cut a third days for like another Constein, but I don't know. I feel like Constein sometimes is also dead. It's really only good against the one rings or like against like, triggered abilities, which is why I don't love going up to 3 of them.
Right.
But, oh
I'm
man,
trying to think what else we would hit on the triggered. The Lelia,
yeah. What's your guys' opinion? Do you
Fury.
think um what's your guys' opinion on Null Rod in this matchup?
So we have Chrome Moxes, and we have One Rings.
Yeah, I don't love it. I just wanted your opinion. I think if I was just like kind of under the gun and had to choose something, I don't think I would board in Null Rod against that deck. I just think you guys have a different opinion.
I think they're just going crazy turn one anyway. Like I think their process is slam a 3-drop turn one and then like force you to win through whatever they just did. So I don't even play draw. I think it's just too late to be doing.
Yep. 100%. Okay, how do we feel about that?
Yeah, I think this is good. And then you'll have this to send over to us, right?
Yep.
Perfect. I may see if I can dig up like it may be like some type of paid resource, but I may dig up like an official sideboard guide and see how close we are.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at one. I guess we can add the old Epic Storm, the Gamble Storm. What are you on, Ben?
Oh, epic, baby. Not Gamble Storm.
The
What
Epic
is that?
Storm.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna hide the counterbalance behind my second Hydro Blast. If I'm playing against your deck, I just have a second. This matchup actually kind of sucks. I think before when I was playing Delver, it was way easier because you had a bunch of 1-drops that just hit for 3 every turn. So by turn 3, you could hit for up to 9.
Love that.
Whereas with this deck, there is no way you're hitting 9 on turn 3.
No, I mean against me, like again, because I'm going and I'm looking for protection, but I'm also not in any huge rush against you. You don't put on enough pressure fast enough. Like I don't really care. Like I'm just hanging out until like you go for a Thought Seize, I go for a Veil, and then you potentially counter my Veil so that I can, and if you're using a Force of Will, I can 3-for-1 you with 1 card, you know what I mean? Well, 3-for-2 because you're still Thought Seizing, but like at the end of the day, like my hand is just so versatile that I don't really care if you Thought Seize me. Like I'm always one top deck away from doing the thing, and if that one top deck doesn't have a lot of cards in your hand backing it up, I'm cool with it. I'm like, let's go.
So yeah, I like what you've done so far, TJ.
Well, I wanted to have a discussion here, though, because Ben does have a beatdown plan with constructs. I don't know how concerned we are about that.
I feel like against that deck specifically, against like the Epic Storm, I feel like if it gets to that point, it may just be, it happens. I don't think I'd even fatal pushes against
Sure.
the Epic Storm.
In total transparency, I'm playing a game right now, and I'm playing against Blue-Black Reanimator, and they got a Psychic Frog out, and I've got 2 5/5 constructs, and I don't think it's either going to win or lose me the game. Like either way, I think no matter what, like he's just going to hold back Psychic Frog. I'm not going to swing into the frog.
Yeah.
We're just in a position where like, oh shit.
I don't love that for me now that they're playing the Urza Saga because like just having the random second game plan that you side out all your animals to is a little rough.
Right.
But let me look at one of these.
I mean, you still have borrowers to return them, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if I keep these up in this issue. But let me look at some Storm. So this is Epic Storm.
Yep.
It's the best game of all time.
I think against the Epic Storm, let me see what else. So I'm gonna take out some number of cameos. I think on the draw I take out 2, but on the play I take out at least 1 cameo. It's just not very good. And I honestly think I take out 1 Merc Hydra.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, at least 1 if not both. Let's keep the Brazen Borrower in for now and see what's going on. This is how it like. I never like have a sideboard guy ready for tournaments. Once again, like if you guys think I'm like inexperienced Magic player, definitely for sure. But
That's what we're doing it. That's why I mean I think it's cool just to like I think there's value in just going through the process. You know what I mean?
So real quick, I actually don't know the list very well. It's not playing Gaia's ability, right?
No, it is.
It is.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, we're still on the Gaia's Will plan. I don't think you bring in sideboard hate or graveyard hate. Like surgicals, I think is actually just bad. Like every time I'm going off and someone hits like a fairy macabre on me, I'm like, cool. Yeah, like you got a lion's eye diamond and something else. Post side, I am actively aware of graveyard hate, and if you got it, you got it. But that's not how I'm going to try and win unless I'm absolutely forced to do it. I'm going to try and win with like a song of creation or something that just says I win the game. So like I don't think the graveyard hate plan is necessary. That being said, it's still like something that I have to play around. So I think even not bringing it in, it's something that I'm going to respect. You know?
Yeah. Do you mind if we go back to the sideboard guide real quick?
Yep. On the way.
No rod's an easy clap though. That's
no rod.
without a doubt
No rod is
first thing
so
that comes in.
Yeah, so both Hydro Blasts, I don't even mind the counterbalance being a Hydro Blast. The Hydro Blast is still sick. No Rod, I think in this situation, Force Negation for sure. Engineered Explosives. And then, I would put in all 3 consoles. I think so.
I just grabbed the wrong one. There we go.
On the play, I think on the play I won't put in the negation, so go ahead and take the negation out. On the play, I would not put in the negation. I should cut 1 more card and then cut the 1 Brazen Borrower. I think that looks perfect. See, that's the thing with the surgical. It's like, I think it should be. But yeah, I don't think I want to leave any of the removal. If your opponent goes the Urza Saga game plan, it just happens. I think there's ways to mitigate it. Like, the deck does play Wasteland, so if you anticipate your opponent trying to be cheeky, you just keep the Wasteland, use Wasteland for Urza Saga. I like the Nile spell.
Okay.
Because it's just a card. It's a card that says Voidfish Maker. It draws you a card that just happens to just sit there and makes them going for the graveyard play super unappealing.
Cool.
Yeah, I think this is what I would do all the time on the play.
All fair.
Yeah, would you put in anything else, Ben, that you think you're scared of?
Click it again just so I can see it.
Yeah, on the play.
On the play. So
I just saved it. It didn't save my.
Oh, I think it saved it, but it didn't save the position.
it
Oh.
just puts sideboard cards in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Because there's nothing else on the sideboard side of things that scare you, like, right? Like, I don't think Ghost Vacuum is good at all.
Yeah, no, that's and someone sided that in against me earlier, and like they were doing like it's the same thing with like Fairy Macabre. I just don't care. I'm like, sure, you have you have the ability to exile a couple things. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a non-issue
So what else
for
did
me.
we-
Like you did it.
What were the other things that we?
Cut Murktide Regent.
A Murktide.
Yeah, 1 Murktide Regent and was there something else? I kept in 1 Brazen Borrower.
Yeah.
You cut one of the cameos.
Nope. That's what it was.
Like it's maybe I also sideboard a little haphazardly, but I like cutting one Murktide region because it just comes down so late that it may not matter. And I like cutting one Tamio because if you open like double Tamio, you have 2 cards in your hand that almost do nothing unless your opponent has a slow opening. So yeah, on the draw, same thing. Removal just goes out. I like cutting 2 Tamios on the draw because it's so low impact. I like cutting at least 1 Daze on the draw, if not 2. DE is pretty good also because it randomly if they go for like the Goblin plan, if you have E, like it's just a blowout.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid of doing goblins against you either, so like it's not a bad idea. Like against like Reanimator, I'll never make goblins because I just lose that race always. But against you, I think I'm like sometimes it's just that like if I have an opportunity to make 12 goblins on turn 1, I'm just going to.
I think here I cut 1 more Daze and I put in a surgical and that should be fine. I like surgical on the draw because if they randomly try to cheat you, like turn 1 you or turn 2 you while you have your shields down, surgical can randomly be something.
I do not disagree.
I'm actually going to put it over in the sideboard this time.
Actually,
You want to see it again?
yeah. I think go back to on the draw. I would cut the go for the throat as well. And since the go for the throat is gone, I think maybe at that point, at that point I would just put back a Tamio or a Daze. Which one do you think is better, Daze or Tamio? Best.
Daze is good. I mean, the thing about Daze is like a well-timed Daze on like a dark ritual like slows me down enough that it pushes me into another turn. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like it, I think is relevant to keep in just because of that. Like just being able to go, well, in response, I'm going to, Daze, and it could like for example, if I'm going all in on a Beseech or something, and you go Daze and it paying for the Daze leaves me with only 3 available mana, then it's just worth it to do. Daze is just and I think that is like I think the tempo version of what you're trying to do with there is just like force me into playing another turn of Magic. I don't think it ever is going to like stop me from doing something, but you could do a well-timed like a Daze on a Daze on a Mox Opal, for example. Like if I lead on Petal into Lion's Eye Diamond into Mox Opal, and then you Daze the Mox Opal, forcing me to sack the Petal, then it puts me in a weird position where if I sack it, my Opal's not active anyway. So I'm just like kind of pigeonholed into just like playing fair Magic. So I like Daze a lot against me. Just because even if it doesn't stop me from doing the thing, it forces me into another turn sometimes.
Yeah. I've noticed that when we played at locals, like just like running you out of mana with Daze sometimes feels good.
Oh, it feels insane. You're just like, oh, eat shit, and then I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I will.
Hey, real quick, guys, what were the 5? So I just went back to the red Stompy, and I have short-term memory loss, obviously. What were the other 5 cards that we pulled out?
Let me pee.
On the play, it was like some number of Force Wills and then both your Pride regions for sure. I'm trying to think on the play. Dazes are in. There might just be like 3 Force Wills.
Okay. And then on the draw,
It was like
Dazes, right?
Dazes out. I cut 1 Force Will because I don't want to keep falling down Force Wills, and there's nothing in that deck. And then both were Pride regions. Put back, I think at least 1 Daze, and then take out a copy.
That's fixed.
Yeah, there's. I don't know if leaving in 1 days is even correct, but back in the day when I was like heavily consuming Magic content, Louis Scott Vargas said like sometimes you just want to leave at least 1 days in to keep them honest. It gets them. It does randomly get them.
Right. Let me see if the Mystic Forge saved. Nope. All of our hard work.
Man, we cited out a lot. So Mystic Forge on the play, all the removal. Not actually, wait, not all the removal. Definitely all the milestone bombs.
On the plus side, when it comes to all the hard work disappearing, something that we can do is just later on, and we can just rewatch the video and screen grab it, and then
Right.
make the changes. You know.
Cameo for sure, if not more so than that.
Fuck.
Game Murktide regions. Yeah, that sounds good. We're definitely not boarding in counterbalance anymore because that card's a Hydro Blast now.
Right. So it's probably better that we did go back and revisit this one real quick.
What else did we cut?
Borrower? Did we pull one borrower out?
I think we definitely pulled one bar because it was not very good in the matchup. On the play, I like Dazes still on the play. Maybe cut like 1 days. Yeah, 1 days. I like keeping in 2 Fatal Push. And then cut days. Oh, that might have just been it, yeah.
Okay, and then on the draw.
Let's draw. Yeah. One Murktide. Both now spell bombs. Tamio. One Raisin Borrower. And then like 2 Dazes. I think that makes sense. I could be wrong. But definitely the Dazes are out.
Cool. Okay, we got that saved. Okay, are there any other matchups that you want to try to knock out tonight? Did this at least help kind of get some thoughts flowing?
Yeah, I think so. I think the biggest one is like the Mirror Reanimator. I legitimately think that's like the most popular deck there.
Yep.
Like Reanimator and then maybe the Mirror.
Yeah.
So back in the Delver days, I felt like I was pretty decent at the Delver Mirror. The only issue now is Psychic Frog's like a new card, and Psychic Frog's like the type of card that I'm not like very familiar with playing. Like it doesn't feel like old Magic, you know? It feels
Okay.
Like, so,
It's an
so
insane card.
This is Demir Reanimator, yep.
Yeah. What would you guys do? I think to bring in against them, we would bring in on the play. I think we would bring what Ghost Vacuum, Surgical.
Yep.
I think Ghost Vacuum's probably just a note 100% of the time.
Yeah, and then Children's Edict for sure.
What's that top card? The top.
Barrowgoyf.
Have we brought that?
We did. We brought it in once so far, and then once we're done, it'll show you all the cards like that you've never brought in.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
I do like the Borrow Voice, but at the same time, it's like, what do we do?
Are we thinking Force Negation here so they can't?
I think on the play, I don't like Force Negation.
No.
It's just like another, it's just like another card that like gives you card disadvantage. Against them, especially if they go fair game, like if they just like frog you for a little bit, like you don't want to be card disadvantage. The Mirror Reanimator, there's like this weird dichotomy where you have to leave in some number of fatal pushes. Right? I think you cut one fatal push. I know that for sure. And on the play, maybe cut. This is so rough, but maybe cut one Murktide Regent and one. I kind of like the Tommy actually. I kind of like the Tommy. Let me think on the Murktide Regent. I'm looking at one of the lists. One Fatal Push, one Murktide Regent. I almost want to say on the play you cut like at least one, if not two forces. I know that sounds really sketchy, but like they try to fair game you, and you putting in more grade tape may just mitigate the fact of the force wheel. Like, yeah, let's just do let's just cut one force wheel. I think that should be fine.
Whoa, this deck is wild. They're playing show and tell in it.
Yeah, that's scary. So that looks good. Like I said, I like cutting the one force wheel to mitigate some card disadvantage of being on the play, and also the surgical plus ghost action does cover some bases. I like the rest of the deck against like Brazen Borrow is just there as a panic button if they don't bring in Bristlebrand exactly, and you can bounce something, especially if they like have like a weak reanimate troll Kazakh Doom. It feels really good to just bounce that.
Right.
So yeah, I like that. On the draw. I think on the draw I like leaving in the Murktide region. I think I just like cutting days. I like cutting some number of days. So maybe like 2 days and one fatal push. 2 days, one fatal push. Put in that package, the stuff we were doing before, and the ghost vacuum. And I think I want to fit in a force negation somewhere. And then I think that's it. We just have to cut one more card in for force negation. Ben, do you have any ideas? What would you take out?
Against Reanimator?
Yeah.
I mean, so with limited information on, because like, so I'll lead again on saying I'm not good at tempo at all, but in that matchup, I would assume that you're trying to put on pressure while slowing them down.
Yeah.
I feel like Tamio doesn't really put on much pressure at all.
Yeah.
And like I feel like Tamio is a lot better in your like against your fair blue decks. So like
Yes.
Tamio feels nuts against any type of fair blue. Against aggressive anything, I feel like it's just very below average.
Yeah. I think
so
cutting one cameo is fine.
Yeah,
And I just want to point out that almost everything they have except for the troll flies, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So death touch is not a relevant keyword
You're
here.
even playing Valgavoth now, some of them.
I saw that.
Just
That's
as
hot.
a 9/9 flying lifelink beater that has ward sack 3 non-lands.
Yeah.
Just because it's super hard to deal with, and you go, all right, like giant 9/9 lifelinker that you can't handle, like let's go. There are other words on it, but
There's a reason it's $22 for a brand new set.
I mean, it's like 100. If I'm playing that card, it's probably in Commander. I'm not playing Reanimator. I've got higher standards
I
and
like
morals.
that. I like the 2 days, one fatal push, and then cameo. I think that's perfectly fine.
Seems fine. Yeah, like the Tamio just feels like it doesn't put on enough beef. Like, and like when you flip it, getting to do the ultimate is just so late that it's just whatever. The uptick on Tamio is kind of all right though, because it could just stop. Like it forces them to feed a frog.
Yeah.
Like they have to discard to frog to get a draw, which is all right.
This new list is wild.
Yeah.
It's running 2 show and tells in the sideboard.
Gross.
I think
Or
they've always
2 main
been show
decks.
and tells, because what's it called in Vegas? I played against this deck and they show and tell me.
That's just wild.
It's sick. I mean, like if you're boarding in a bunch of grave hate,
Right.
that,
They just switch up the plan.
that's why I was saying earlier. If you have big balls, show up with less graveyard hate in your sideboard because people are playing around it. So if you respect your opponents to mitigate your graveyard hate, why even put it in the first place?
Right.
But once again, you have to have big balls because then there's some players who aren't privy to that deck and they just straight up you don't have enough graveyard hate for them jamming animation spells. And also, there's that new graveyard card, Shallow Grave or whatever.
Yeah, it's not new.
But
It's actually like one of the
deck.
oldest. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm just being a turd. But yeah,
Mirage.
yeah, Mirage. The reanimated it gains haste until end of turn, and does it give it haste? I think it gives it haste, right?
Yeah, it gives it haste.
Put the
Gives it
top
haste.
creature card from your graveyard into play as though it were just played. That creature is unaffected by summoning sick. Remove the creature from the game at the end of any turn.
Yeah.
They have like 2 different creatures in their graveyard. You can't even circle them. It's like so silly.
Well, it's the most recently put into the yard. So like, if they, it's the only old cards care about graveyard order, which is
Right.
it's funny, but it's weird because you can surgical, like if they have like a frog and a Gristlebrand, you can surgical the Gristlebrand and they get a frog back kind of thing.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, that doesn't beat the Shallow Grave. They get a frog back. That's still pretty good.
They still get something. There's guaranteed value out of it, which is
Yeah, because what's in that situation, you waste the surgical, and then they get a frog, and then they get to attack you and draw a card. That's like, and since the frog's on the table, they get another discard if they want. Like, I don't think you're winning that game.
What was the other card that we pulled out of here? We had a Tameo, a Daze, a Merc.
A second days. Yeah,
Second days.
I'm pretty into cutting like at least 2 days is on the like that want to go fast.
So if you scroll to the bottom here, you can see where it'll start. Like once we actually get like this populating a little bit more, it'll tell us like what we're not like siding in and out at all.
Yeah, because I was about to say maybe surgical is like kind of a weak card, and I just replaced that with something else too.
Right. Based on the meta.
this website's very cool.
Yeah.
I just logged in and you're in like one of the most recent decks that were being edited in public decks.
Oh, nice.
Like, that's neat.
I need to bounce here soon, but I may just
Yeah.
look at this on my own. But yeah, I think I'm pricing the bouncing right now.
Yeah.
Is there like a last minute matchup you want me to kind of go through? Or?
No, I feel like that's good. We got a couple good ones. We are going a little bit long on time, so I think that's a good. We're about an hour and a half in. Any questions that anybody does have that's on the live stream, go ahead and feel free to put them in there. I did want to remind everybody that at Eternal Weekend, we are doing at least one meetup, so please come out and join us. If you go to our website, Ohio Eternal, you can get to our Discord that way, and it will, share all of the information about that meetup. But it is that first Thursday when everybody is arriving. And then let me share the info here, just a little bit about it.
Beers.
That's right. And like I said, first round's on us. Meetup is at 6 p.m. And there is the address 947 Penn Avenue. It's within walking distance from the convention center. So right now, Thursday for sure. And then potentially a lot of people are coming up from the locals from Stowe on Saturday. So we might do a secondary meetup up on Saturday. But stay tuned for that. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you got a little bit of, again, I think just the raw talking through some of this stuff was super valuable. Thank you to John in chat for having that huge breakthrough of getting rid of counterbalance, ripping up the card, throwing it out the door. Again, just that community coming in.
But if I made more money than I did now, I would rip up this spoiled counterbalance right now.
So awesome, guys. Until next time, thank you for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one.
I love when you say raw.
Raw dogging it.
Yeah.
Man, you are very tame tonight. Are you tired? Are you under the weather? What is it?